I just want to thank you guys all for coming. I did not expect this. Really, it's such a joy to see all your faces out here in standing room only for the staff that's going to be here supporting my dad, along with all these friendly faces of family and supporters. You know, my father and I used to kind of talk at times about how we would travel across the district. And so it was almost 2 hours from side to side during campaigning. And I know many of you traveled very far today also. But it was in every mile that each of your support was encouraging him, encouraging us to get to this place. I know after all these years of, campaigns where there was some wins and some losses, that really God led us to this place because this is where he's supposed to be. So I thank you guys so much for coming tonight, or this morning. Usually every night events. This morning to be here to celebrate this huge honor for our family, for the people of the 11th District. I'm so excited about this for him, and I want to thank you guys so much. So you say, we did have some wonderful introductions here. I just want to again let you know who's here. We've got Judge Thomas Wright, who's the Administrative Judge of the 11th Court of Appeals. Judge Cynthia Rice, who's also in the 11th District Court of Appeals. Judge Tim Cannon of the 11th District Court of Appeals. We have Mary Jane Trapp, who's over here, who's also going to be newly elected here with my dad at the 11th District Court of Appeals. And obviously we have the dynamic duo of Northeast Ohio, Judge Diane Grandel and Judge Tim Grandel here today with us. So I want to thank them all so much for attending this morning's event. And without any further ado, I'd ask you guys all to rise with me and share in the Pledge of Allegiance. It'll be led by our good friends, Melissa and John Gennard.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joining us this morning also are a few other dignitaries from around the area. Former Judd County Commissioner Skip Claypool is here with us today. We also have many pastors who have been great support to our family and to the campaign. Pastor Mike Continenza from Middlefield. We've got Pastor Ernie Sanders here from also Geauga County. I want to thank them for being such a great support and along this trail. So if I'll just turn things over to the Grandel.
Well, good morning and Happy New Year. It's a pleasure to be here. I still remember the first time I was in this courtroom when Diane was sitting on the bench. It's a pleasure to celebrate with Matt as he ascends to the 11th District Court of Appeals. It is an interesting process. Our system of justice, framed by our founding fathers, was based on the idea that fundamental fairness of all our citizens was important. And to accomplish fundamental fairness, they termed it due process. And what due process means is that every citizen is entitled to a fair, reasonable proceeding with proper notice and an opportunity to be heard and to cross-examine those who come against them in the courtroom. But our founding fathers were very wise. They understood that judges are not infallible. We are human. And so they created a tiered process to make sure that whatever was done at the trial court level, it got properly reviewed on appeal to make sure not that the case got retried, but that the procedure was fair and that the law was applied and the Constitution was applied as written. Because as our founding fathers believed, it says it meant what it says, and it says what it meant. And that's why it is a pleasure to join Matt Lynch today as he joins the 11th District Court of Appeals, because Matt is a strict instructionalist. He has practiced for decades. He understands the procedural aspects and the importance of a court of appeals that is there to check and balance on lower courts. And he understands that it is the job of the Court of Appeals to review for fair procedures, but not to rewrite the law, but to apply the law of the Constitution as it is written. And so it's a pleasure to join Matt today and to congratulate him, and now to have Diane swear him in as he joins the Court of Appeals. Matt. Thank you, Judge.
Will your family please come up? about all of you, but this is such an awesome occasion. This is such an incredible event, and we are so pleased to be here on this day. Will you please raise your right hand? I, Matt Lynch, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
and will administer justice
and will administer justice
to all
to all
without respect to persons,
without respect to persons,
and will faithfully
and will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge and perform
all
all duties incumbent upon me
duties incumbent upon me
as judge of the 11th District Court of Appeals
as judge of the 11th District Court of Appeals
for the term commencing February 9th,
for the term commencing February 9th,
2019,
2019,
and ending February 8th,
and ending February 8th,
2025,
2025,
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my ability
and understanding.
and understanding.
This I do as I shall answer unto God.
This I do, as I shall answer unto God.
Congratulations.
Abby. I have to thank Judge Grindell, Diane Grindell. This is actually her spare robe.
It's actually the robe she wore the first day she came to the 11th District Court of Appeals.
I wanted to have an off-the-rack robe for $50, but my wife insisted she had to order one custom, which of course isn't ready as of yet. Well, we'll just leave it on. Well, thank you all. Yeah, I do want to say thanks to everyone that's here today. And especially I want to say thank you to my beautiful wife, Laura. You know, Laura and I met 25 years ago, 26 years ago, I guess now. And I was kind of a mess when I met Laura. And she straightened me out. And in fact, one of the first things that she did is she asked me if I had ever read this Bible. This is the Bible my mother gave me 21 years ago. And I managed to avoid reading it for over 20 years. I said to her, my mother gave me this when I was age 21. And I managed to avoid reading it for over 20 years. And she helped me understand that that was an important thing to do. And I thank her so much for that. She's been there every step of the way through all these campaigns, including when I was out in Rock Creek, Ashtabula, and driving home for an hour and a half, and she'd be waiting there with a hot meal at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm just so very grateful that she's here today. She's actually the bravest girl I know. So thank you. And of course, Carrie, I can't say enough about Carrie, who some years ago when I ran for Bainbridge Township trustee, I remember very well, Carrie, of course, who has her children of her own here today, my grandchildren, Timber and George, and their father, George. Carrie, they were very young, and I was campaigning for trustee, and I didn't let Carrie help me because she had a lot on her plate. She had a job, she had children, she had a husband, and I didn't want to burden her with helping me on my campaign. Until my daughter Christy called me a few weeks into the campaign. She said, "Dad, you're killing Carrie by not letting her help you. You got to let her help you." So I did that, and she has been at my side in every one of my campaigns since. She's been behind the scenes, she's been out front, she's done everything for me, and there's just no doubt about it that none of that could have happened. I wouldn't be standing here today if Carrie wasn't there pushing me along the way and making me make the right choices. So thank you so much. And I want to thank all of you who've been supported for so long in so many different ways, not just for your votes, but for your prayers, most importantly, but for your checks, they were good too. And really, it's meant so much to have so many folks that take the time to be here this morning. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the staff being here. You know, I asked Judge Wright, and I appreciate the fact that you allowed me to have the ceremony here because I wanted the staff to be here. You know, what we do here at the Court of Appeals, as important as it is, because we judges wear these robes, don't you know, but we can't do it without this professional staff. And even though I've just gotten to meet these folks in the last few weeks, well, I already know by reputation, of course, as an attorney, and now meeting them, just how professional and efficient they are. And I'm just so very grateful that you could all be here, and I appreciate you being here. And I look forward to you being sort of making sure I don't make too many mistakes, at least in the first few months. So I'm just so grateful for that as well. And I'm grateful for these judges. You know, I was at judge school a couple of weeks ago down in Columbus. Yes, there is a judge school. And I knew, of course, that the appellate court was a very special place. There are only 69 appellate judges in the entire state of Ohio. And so it's a privilege to be able to serve on the appellate court. But the 11th District particularly has a tremendous reputation around the state of Ohio, and you can see that down in Columbus when Judge Rice and Judge Cannon were both there teaching other judges how to be good judges. This court, this district, has a tremendous reputation, and I'll do my best not to screw it up over the next 6 years and maintain that reputation. So it's really a privilege to be here and take this oath. And you know, the oath that I've just taken is familiar to most of you, I think. Many of you have been in the military, you've taken a similar oath. If you've been in elective office, you've taken a similar oath. I took a similar oath when I was township trustee and later in the legislature. But the judicial oath is just a little bit different. As Judge Grandel recited it, and I repeated it, because you take an oath not only to uphold the Constitution, but an oath to administer justice fairly. What a tremendous thing. And what a high expectation it creates for us as judges, to administer justice fairly. That's a tremendous burden. And frankly, you know, when I put on this robe, it is heavy in that sense. But I look forward to taking on that responsibility. When I took that oath as part of my becoming a trustee and then later legislature, I realized then that I was in a different branch of government. You know, our founding fathers, of course, in their wisdom had 3 branches of government: the executive, legislative, judicial. When I was chairman of the Bainbridge Township Trustees, I was participating in the executive branch of government. And then later in the legislature, I was in the legislative branch of government. So to now be able to serve in the judicial branch, having served in all 3 branches of our constitutional government, that is such an impressive thing on me. It impresses my mind with the responsibility and yes, the burden of doing not only the best job possible, but to administer that justice fairly. So I take that oath seriously. But what does an appellate judge do? You know, when I was running for office, a lot of people ask me that question, actually. When you take that oath of office, you obviously are being faithful to the Constitution. That's what you're swearing to do. But that oath is powerful because it's not only an oath and a promise to you, that is the community, and indeed to the court, but it's an oath to God Himself. And most of us take that oath in the circumstances of our wedding vows. That's the most common time we take it. And this is just as serious as a wedding vow. I think when you stand in front in a church and you promise God you're going to be faithful to your spouse, we're not in a church, but we certainly are in a place of great importance where I promise you, the members of the community, and I promise God that I am going to fulfill that oath. And how do I do that? How do I do that job? My dad practiced law until he was 94 years of age. And when he was practicing law, he would sometimes talk to me about, you know, how do you get the job done? How do you do the job? And he would often compare practicing law to being in the trades, like a carpenter or a mechanic. You know, if you go watch what a carpenter does, You might see him sawing or hammering. But that's not really his job. What a carpenter does is he builds a home. And in that home, a family is safe and secure and able to love one another. Or he might build a table under which people might share a meal. Or he might even build an altar on which people might use to worship God. So a carpenter's job is much more than just what he does. A carpenter's job is to create an environment where people can prosper. And a mechanic isn't any different than that. You watch a mechanic and he might be turning bolts and replacing parts, but a mechanic actually is creating a way for a dad to get to a job to support his family. Or he might be helping a student get to school by having a way of transportation to get an education. Or a mom take a child to a hospital in need. So a mechanic does more than just work on his tools or work on those engines. He actually helps people have better lives. And when it comes to judges, the same is true. We write opinions, we read briefs. The Court of Appeals particularly is a very academic kind of job. If you watch what any of us do in any given day, it would seem like a lot of reading and writing, and it is. But it's much broader than that, because as the oath says, we promise that we are going to uphold those values of our Constitution, and that we are going to administer justice fairly. And that's something that I take extraordinarily seriously, and I'm just so privileged to be in that position to help accomplish those goals. So I'm just so grateful you're all here today. I think we have a standing room only crowd because you all heard there's going to be free cake later, which there will be in the ante room. But I do, yes. So I just want to finish by telling you that when I was elected, I asked Stacy, where's Stacy? Stacy, is there a lapel pin that judges are issued that identifies them as judges of the Court of Appeals? And she looked and she said, no, she'd never seen one. When I was in the legislature, we had lapel pins that showed you a member of the Ohio House or of the Senate. And when you think about that pin, some might wear it as a badge of authority, but actually, it's more like your wedding ring, right? It's a reminder of the promises that you have made, the oath that you have taken. And so when I found out there wasn't any such pins, I decided that, well, we just needed to have some. So I commissioned these pins that are to seal the state of Ohio with the name of the appellate court around it, that will be used. And Carrie, maybe you should pass those out. And I've given a set of these pins to each one of the appellate court judges, including Judge Diane Grindell, even though she only has a month or so left to wear it. Because I want to wear that pin as a reminder, like I wear my wedding ring, a reminder to be faithful to my promise to you and my faithful to my promise to God. So with that, I will say thank you very much, and we're going to have Pastor Mike Continenza from Abundant Life Church of Middlefield come up and give us a closing blessing, and then we'll have some cake.
That was wow. That was really good, man. You know, when, I still remember the time when me, Matt, and Morris sat down, he was thinking about running, and I remember one thing he said. I asked him why he wanted to run. He said, I want to make a difference. I really feel God's tugging my arm. I'll pray very hard about it. I want to make a difference. And there was no Matt in it. Matt just wanted to make a difference. And so, I never did that. So yes, I will. Father, we come in the name of Jesus Christ, by the power of the Holy Spirit. Lord, I lift up Matt, I lift up all these judges, and even the judges outside of this courtroom. Lord, without your presence, without your guidance, we go the wrong direction. So we ask your Holy Spirit, we ask you to minister to Matt and everybody in this courtroom, every judge that has to make a decision. They would be led and prompted by the Holy Spirit, guided by God. Even outside this courtroom, as they live their lives out, the most important thing, that everybody will have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And that's all, when we draw our last breath, that's the only thing that matters. Do we know Him? And so, Lord, I go deeper than just helping all the judges here make decisions, go by our Constitution. Everything's done fairly, but I also, more important of all, their lives, that they will know Christ. I ask you to help and guide them each and every day, even as they put their head in that pillow as they sleep. The Spirit never sleeps. So I ask angels to be released over every judge, every mat. As they sleep, the angels will minister to them, bring refreshing, encouraging. I ask no weapon will come against them and prosper in any way from our enemies. Lord, and every judge here, even outside, would all live their life to the fullest and live for God. I ask your blessings, and I thank you for it in the name of Christ. Amen.
And that's it. This little anteroom here is the judge's deliberation room.